What's going on, you guys? Tarquid7 here. Happy New Year's Eve, and of the final video of 2023. Put this down. I'm going to be doing the awards for the hand dryer versus hand dryer of season 1 of the year 2023. Now, as you guys already know, there were 14 episodes, and it began from January. No, not January. February this year until somewhere around November. So the first episode, we had the Crocodilo T2 versus the Mitsubishi Jet Towel. Now, the Mitsubishi Jet Towel has won round 1. Reason being was because the other one had some strategies. The first one by having a bowl to stop the water from getting on the floor, but so did the Airblade. But the reason being was because the Crocodile T2, the air was just hot when I've used the hand dryer. So the Jet Towel won round 1. On the second episode, we had the Lover Air Furry versus the initial Matte Flow, which they were both good, but the Air Furry was better because it's how cool it is when you use the hand dryer and you see those lights, because the red light indicates that the hand dryer is not being used, and when it's being used, that's when the light turns green. And plus, it dried my hand better. Hand dryer episode 3 was the Detta Blue Zone versus the World Dryer Air Force PHS in white. The reason that the Air Force was better was because the Detta was louder than the other one, and also because the World Dryer was just more nostalgic for me. On the 4th episode, those hand dryers were both located at Pizza Hut. We had an Armadillo hand dryer versus a hand dryer which people may know as an Air Force ripoff, the Lover Zilver. The Armadillo was better than the Lover Zilver, not only because the other one was a ripoff, but again with the light, it was just cool seeing it and how it dries your hands quicker. Which makes sense. On the 5th episode, we had a Warner Howard SM48 against an Accelerator Excel Dryer, and the second one was better because the other one was quieter, but it doesn't dry your hands properly. On the 6th episode was a Levante hand dryer versus a rip-off Accelerator, and it might have shocked you, but the rip-off hand dryer was better than the other one because at least it dries your hands properly. On the 7th episode was clearly the battle of 2 blow motion hand dryers. The first one was a blow motion KW against a blow motion Airblade. A very big reason why the Airblade was better than the standard hand dryer was just how loud was that hand dryer when I've used it. It can blow my ears off. It can even give you jump scares, whether you've got earmuffs or earplugs or something like that. Whereas the Airblade, at least is a tad bit quieter, but it's still loud. But I've used it pretty well, and it dries your hands properly. And plus, I've also gotten used to the noise of the Airblade, but I don't think I'll ever get used to the other low motion hand dryer, considering how ridiculously loud it gets. I don't know who even thought of a hand dryer louder. It's louder than Accelerator hand dryer, so let's get that right. Episode 8 was a blue dry air nuke, which could be a nickname from some people because how loud it is, against a Vela Hydra S. And the Hydra S was better than the other one because even though both had dries your hands well, the first one pushes your hand out with the amount of heat and pressure it gets to you when you're using the dryer. On the 9th episode, we had a new electrical against another Levante hand dryer. Even though the noise is very quiet for the new electrical, it didn't dry my hands well. So the Levante hand dryer beats it because it's louder than the other one, but all it matters is that it dries your hands pretty well. On the 10th episode, it was the battle against the Dyson Airblade V against an auto dryer, which the auto dryer is, by the way, the one from Ready Go to Asda, as I've called it, Asda's common model. The Dyson Airblade V was better than the other one. They both dry my hands well, but because the Dyson Airblade, it's just got more technology in it when I've used the dryer, and it dries your hands quicker. And I think was introduced, it came into this planet, I think, in 2015, so it's definitely newer than the auto dryer. And then on the 11th episode on the 10th episode was an ATC cub in white against a chrome Weldra Air Force PHS. And the winner was the ATC cub because it looks cool because of those lights at the bottom and it dries your hands quicker. And funny enough, I've used it before. The first time I've used it, it didn't really dry your hands properly because the second it's turned on, it then turns off and it just keeps going on and off, which was ridiculous. And then the 12th episode, it was basically just a battle of two unbranded hand dryers. The second one was better because the first one was more louder and it doesn't really dry your hands properly and such. And plus, it's another rip-off Air Force, which people may have a dislike on it. Whereas the other was a little bit more quieter and it dries your hands properly. And it has those lights underneath and all. On the 13th episode, we had a Vela Pebble Mini against a Dryflow jet dry, which I mistakenly called it Golden Hygiene. It was another accelerator rip-off. And the only reason the first one was better because it's just more technology. And the other one was very loud. And the air can get pretty hot. On the final one, I accidentally stopped it within the first one, so I made it into two parts, which was the Dyson Airblade Original as part 1, and then the Weldra Model A as part 2. And the winner was the Dyson Airblade, all because it dries your hands quicker and it has a lot of technology in it, whereas the Weldra, I like how you can push the button when you're using the dryer, but it doesn't dry your hands quickly. I appreciate the button and I appreciate when you spin the nozzle, you can dry your face, but it doesn't dry your hands as quickly as the Airblade, so the Airblade beats it. So I hope you've enjoyed the series of those hand dryer episodes, hand dryer versus hand dryer. I will be doing some more next year. I don't know when, but I will let you know when I'm ready to do another series of hand dryer versus hand dryer. Obviously, 2024. So without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe to Tag 7, and have a happy and safe New Year's Day.